Hi, Guy. Tonight we journey to the shores of ancient Japan, a time of samurai and spirits. You'll be drawn into a world both familiar and strangely alien, but you probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you are tuning in from and what time it is as you press play. It always amazes me how history can bring strangers together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Imagine this. You stand before a lakeside shrine, the mist clinging to the ancient, moss-covered wood like a shroud. The air itself hums, a low, thrumming vibration that speaks of something unseen, something ancient, something powerful. The scent of damp earth and decaying leaves mixes with the sharp, clean fragrance of pine, creating a heady, almost intoxicating aroma. The moon, a sliver of silver behind a curtain of clouds, casts long, distorted shadows that dance and writhe like phantoms in the periphery of your vision. The silence is profound, broken only by the gentle lapping of water against the shore and the occasional rustle of unseen creatures in the surrounding bamboo forest. This isn't the tranquil serenity of a postcard. This is a silence pregnant with unspoken power, a stillness that vibrates with a barely contained energy. You feel it pressing in on you, a weight on your chest, a prickling sensation on your skin. This is the feeling of the forgotten, of the overlooked, of power held in reserve. This shrine, weathered and worn by the passage of centuries, is dedicated to Suijin, the water god. Not one of the grand, widely worshipped deities of the Shinto pantheon, Suijin is nonetheless a figure of immense local reverence. For generations, the people of this secluded village have looked to this water god for protection, for bountiful harvests, for safe passage across the lake. They whisper his name with a mixture of respect and a touch of apprehension, understanding the immense, untamed power that resides within the depths of the lake, a power that Suijin, in their beliefs, both commands and embodies. The shrine itself is a testament to this deep-seated faith. A simple structure of aged wood and carefully placed stones, yet it radiates an aura of sacred significance. Each carefully carved detail, each weathered beam, speaks of countless prayers whispered in the darkness, of hopes and fears entrusted to the unseen forces that dwell within the water. Your eyes are drawn to a weathered yet still beautiful wooden drum. It rests upon a stone dais, its surface worn smooth by time and the elements. This is no ordinary drum. This is an instrument steeped in legend, whispered to possess the power to summon the wind itself. The wood, a dark, rich brown, seems to absorb the moonlight, almost glowing faintly in the dim light. Intricate carvings, barely visible under layers of grime, hint at a history far older than any written record. You can almost feel the weight of countless years pressing down on it, the echoes of forgotten rituals vibrating within its ancient core. Runes, barely discernible now, are etched into its sides, their meaning lost to the mists of time. Touching it feels like touching history itself, a tangible connection to a past both alluring and terrifying. Historians, of course, debate the reality of the drum's purported powers. Was the ability to summon the wind a genuine invocation of natural forces, a testament to an ancient understanding of meteorology and subtle manipulations of the elements? Or was it a purely symbolic ritual, a carefully crafted performance designed to inspire awe and reinforce the people's faith in their water god? The arguments rage on, fueled by fragmented texts and conflicting interpretations of ancient practices. But here, in the stillness of this moonlit night, as the mist swirls around you and the air thrums with unseen energy, the possibility hangs heavy in the air, a tangible weight pressing down on your shoulders. The rational mind struggles to dismiss the feeling, the creeping sense that something more than mere superstition is at play. The silence hums with the whispers of forgotten prayers, the echoes of wind summoned by a drum that seems to beat with a life of its own. The air grows colder, the mist thicker, and the feeling of being watched intensifies. You are not alone here. Something is present, something ancient, something powerful, and it is watching you, waiting. The lake stretches out before you, its dark surface reflecting the pale light of the moon, creating an unsettlingly beautiful illusion of depth and mystery. You can see the reflections of the trees, distorted and elongated by the water, reaching out like skeletal fingers, beckoning you closer. You feel a strange pull towards the water, a magnetism that tugs at your senses, a temptation both alluring and terrifying. The wind picks up, a sudden gust that swirls the mist around you, obscuring your vision, creating a chilling sensation on your skin. It whispers secrets in your ear, words you can't quite understand, promises and warnings intertwined in a cacophony of unseen sounds. This isn't just the wind. This feels like something more, something intentional, something that's reaching out to you, testing you, preparing to draw you in. The drum, seemingly of its own accord, lets out a low, resonant hum, a deep vibration that resonates deep within your chest, a sound that echoes the very heartbeat of the lake itself. And as the drum's hum intensifies, so does the feeling that this night, this journey, is far from over, and that you might not see the sunrise. The air hung heavy with the scent of volcanic ash and brine, a familiar perfume in the village nestled at the foot of Mount Fuji. I found Taro's workshop tucked away in a quiet corner, a humble structure almost swallowed by the sprawling wisteria that clawed at its weathered walls. He was hunched over his work, his back a stooped question mark against the afternoon sun filtering through the open doorway. His hands, gnarled and knotted like the roots of an ancient cedar, moved with a surprising deftness, polishing a disk of obsidian with a rhythmic grace. Each stroke was a whisper, a conversation between man and mirror. They spoke of patience, of dedication, of a lifetime spent coaxing perfect images from the reflective surface. Taro looked up, his eyes the color of polished slate, holding a spark of ancient wisdom. He didn't speak immediately, simply gestured for me to sit on a low stool beside his workbench, the air thick with the fine dust of his craft. His silence wasn't unfriendly, more a quiet acknowledgement of the unspoken understanding between craftsman and observer. The silence was broken only by the soft whisper of the polishing cloth against the obsidian. "They say I can make even a flawed mirror reflect the stars themselves," he finally said, his voice a low rumble, barely audible above the gentle lapping of waves against the nearby shore. His words were not boastful, more a simple statement of fact, a quiet pride in the skill he had inherited and honed over decades. The villagers held him in high regard, not just for his unparalleled craftsmanship, but for the quiet dignity he carried with him. He was the keeper of an ancient tradition, a living link to a time when the craft of mirror polishing held a deeper, more mystical significance. He showed me his tools, simple yet exquisitely crafted, each one a testament to years of patient refinement. There were smooth stones from the riverbed, meticulously shaped polishing cloths made from the finest silk, and, of course, the volcanic ash. He picked up a handful, the gray powder sifting through his fingers. "This ash," he explained, his voice now clearer, "is from the heart of the mountain. It holds a unique property, a fineness that allows for a shine unmatched by any other substance. Generations of my family have used this same ash, passed down through the years like a sacred trust." He spoke of ancient techniques, lost to most, whispered secrets of precise pressure, specific angles, and the careful application of the ash. It wasn't just about creating a flawless surface. It was about capturing and releasing the light, about creating a window into another world. He spoke of his ancestors, their hands mirroring his own in the delicate dance of creation, a chain of artisans stretching back to a time shrouded in myth and legend. The very air around him seemed to hum with the weight of this long-held tradition. The centerpiece of his workshop, though, wasn't a collection of gleaming mirrors, but a single, solitary piece, placed carefully upon a small, ornate stand within a makeshift shrine. This mirror was unlike any I had ever seen. It was perfectly polished, flawlessly reflecting the world outside. Yet the reflection was strangely unsettling. The colors were sharper, more vivid, almost hyper-real. The familiar scene of the village, the ocean, and Mount Fuji was mirrored with an unnerving clarity, each detail magnified, intensified to a point where it felt uncanny, even threatening. It wasn't simply a reflection. It was a revelation, a glimpse into something more profound, more unsettling than a mere image. I saw in its depths a subtle distortion, a ripple in the normally calm surface of the reflection. The mountains seemed taller, their shadows deeper, the sea more turbulent. The villagers in the reflection seemed different. Their movements were slightly off, their expressions harder to read, hinting at something hidden beneath the surface of their everyday lives. There was a tension to the scene, a silent unease that settled deep within me. Taro observed my reaction, a slight flicker of understanding in his eyes. He didn't comment on the disturbing nature of the reflection, but simply said, The historians debate its purpose. Some believe the art of mirror polishing, especially at this level, developed as a way to appease the gods, to create a pathway for communication between the mortal and spiritual realms. Others believe it was purely aesthetic, a testament to human skill and creativity. Perhaps, he added, a hint of a smile playing on his lips, both are true. He was right, of course. The sheer precision and skill required to create such a perfect reflection pointed to a deep-seated artistic impulse, a desire for beauty and perfection. But the unsettling quality of the mirror's reflection, the way it seemed to distort reality, suggested a more spiritual, perhaps even ritualistic aspect to its creation. The mirror was more than just a reflection. It was a portal, a window into a world that existed just beyond the veil of our perception. It was a mirror to the soul, as much as it was a mirror to the world, and in its unsettling depths, I sensed a secret, a truth that tarot held close, a secret older than the mountain itself, a secret as deep and enigmatic as the volcanic ash from which the mirror's unparalleled shine was born. The moon, a silver coin in the inky sky, cast a shimmering path across the surface of the lake. It was a mirror reflecting the heavens, the water so still it seemed to breathe, the air, thick with the scent of petrichor, that unique fragrance of rain on dry earth, hung heavy and sweet. The lake whispered, not in words but in the gentle lapping of waves against the shore, in the rustling of reeds, in the almost imperceptible shift of the water's surface. It whispered secrets, ancient and untold. This was no ordinary lake. Nestled deep within the valley, its depths held secrets darker than the midnight sky. Local folklore spoke of sunken villages, swallowed whole by the lake's insatiable hunger. These weren't just tales told to frighten children. They were whispers passed down through generations, imbued with a chilling authenticity. The stories spoke of vengeful yokai, spirits bound to the lake, their anger fueled by the tragedy of the past. Their mournful cries, some claimed, could be heard on windless nights, carried on the whispers of the water itself. I sat on the moss-covered bank, the cool dampness seeping into my clothes, and listened. The rhythmic sound of the waves, a constant, gentle susurrus, began to wash over me. It was a hypnotic rhythm, a lullaby of the lake, each wave a soft caress against the shore. The sound, so consistently soothing, created a gentle ASMR effect, a tingling sensation that spread through my skin, calming my mind and easing the tension from my muscles. The whispers of the lake were not just auditory, they were tactile, a sensual experience that enveloped me entirely. It was then that I saw him. Old Man Ito, a figure etched by time and the elements, his face a roadmap of wrinkles etched deep by years spent battling the lake's unpredictable moods. He sat on a weathered fishing boat, his silhouette stark against the moonlit water. He seemed to be waiting for me. He greeted me with a nod, his eyes the color of the lake after a storm, holding a wisdom that transcended age. He spoke in hushed tones, his voice raspy but resonant, like the wind whistling through ancient pines. He spoke of a time when the lake's tranquility had shattered, when its placid surface had erupted in a fury of unimaginable power. The lake rose up, he said, his voice barely audible above the whisper of the waves. It swallowed boats whole, men and all. It was a day the water wept black tears. He described a scene of chaos and terror, boats capsizing, fishermen screaming, the air thick with the smell of fear and salt. The lake, he said, had transformed from a gentle giant to a raging beast, its wrath unstoppable. The event, he explained, was not just a local legend. It was recorded in the village chronicles, a stark entry detailing the destruction and the lives lost. But the chronicles, Old Man Ito continued, offered no definitive explanation. Was it a freak natural phenomenon, a confluence of unforeseen circumstances, or was it, as some believed, a manifestation of divine retribution? Was the water deity, the spirit said, to reside in the lake's depths, angered by some unknown transgression? The mystery lingered, a shadow hanging over the tranquil surface, a chilling counterpoint to the soothing whispers of the waves. He spoke of offerings left at the water's edge, small boats laden with flowers, incense, and pleas for forgiveness. These were attempts to appease the angered spirit, to restore the balance, to prevent a recurrence of the devastating event. The villagers, he explained, lived in a delicate equilibrium with the lake, understanding both its beauty and its potential for destruction. They respected its power, its moods, its whispers. As Old Man Ito spoke, I felt a growing unease. The tranquil surface of the lake seemed to ripple with a hidden energy, a subtle disturbance beneath the serene facade. The whispers intensified, becoming less a soothing lullaby and more a low hum of suppressed power, a silent warning that the calmness was merely a deceptive veneer, a fragile piece masking a force of nature both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The moon climbed higher in the sky, its light bathing the lake in an ethereal glow. Old Man Ito finished his story, his gaze fixed on the dark depths. The only sound was the gentle lapping of the waves, a constant, soothing reminder of the lake's power, its secrets, and its whispers. The whispers of the lake, he seemed to say, were not just stories. They were a testament to the unpredictable nature of the world, a reminder that beneath the surface of tranquility there lay mysteries both ancient and profound, waiting to be discovered, or perhaps better left undisturbed. The air hung heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth. A sliver of moon, a pale sickle in the inky sky, cast long, dancing shadows across the clearing. Before me, nestled amongst the ancient cedar trees, sat the drum. It wasn't just any drum. Its presence felt ancient, powerful, radiating a palpable energy that hummed beneath the surface of the night. My eyes were drawn to Taro. He moved with a grace that belied the weight of the moment, each step measured, each gesture deliberate. His approach to the drum was a slow, almost ritualistic dance, a silent conversation between man and artifact. The moon's ethereal glow bathed his face, highlighting the sharp angles of his cheekbones and the intensity in his dark eyes. He wasn't merely approaching the drum. He was entering a sacred space, a liminal realm between the mundane and the mystical. As he finally reached it, I could see the drum in its entirety. It was magnificent. Crafted from hollowed-out paulownia wood, its surface was smooth and polished, reflecting the moonlight like a still pool. Paulownia, I knew, held a significant place in ancient Japanese lore, prized not just for its lightness and remarkable resonance, but also for the mystical properties it was believed to possess. Its very essence seemed to thrum with an unseen energy, a silent testament to its age, and the countless ceremonies it had witnessed. The drum itself was a testament to the artistry and spiritual beliefs of ancient Japan. Historically, drums of this type played a vital role in religious ceremonies and festivals. Their rhythmic beats weren't just musical accompaniment. They were believed to be a conduit, a means of communicating with the supernatural, of bridging the gap between the human world and the realm of spirits. Historians still debate the precise nature of these supposed powers and their place within the complex tapestry of ancient Japanese religious practices. Was it simple shamanistic ritual or something more profound, a genuine attempt to interact with forces beyond human comprehension? The questions lingered, unanswered, as potent as the drum's presence. Taro knelt before the drum, his hands hovering over its surface. He seemed to be feeling its vibrations, its energy, its history. A hush fell over the clearing, the only sound, the gentle rustle of leaves in the night breeze. Then, slowly, deliberately, he began to speak, his voice a low murmur, barely audible above the whispering wind. His words were in ancient Japanese, a language lost to me, yet the emotion in his voice was undeniable, a mixture of reverence, anticipation, and perhaps just a hint of fear. The local legends, of course, added another layer to the drum's mystique. Some whispered tales spoke of the paulownia wood's ability to absorb the listener's anxiety, leaving them at peace and ready to sleep. The idea was whimsical, charming even, yet it also served as a testament to the drum's enduring power to capture the imagination, to become interwoven with the fabric of local folklore. It represented a kind of comforting magic, a tangible representation of the solace people sought in times of uncertainty. This element of comforting folklore served to underscore the drum's importance, not just as a ritualistic tool, but also as a symbol of community and shared belief. As Taro's murmuring continued, I found myself captivated, drawn into the atmosphere he'd created. The air vibrated with a low, almost imperceptible hum, a resonant frequency that seemed to emanate from the drum itself. It was as if the very wood was breathing, pulsing with a life of its own, a silent witness to centuries of rituals and prayers. The moon continued its slow journey across the night sky, casting its pale light upon the scene, transforming the ordinary clearing into a place of extraordinary power. I watched, breathless, as Taro raised his hands, his fingers poised above the drum's skin. The silence became almost unbearable, thick with anticipation. Then, with a swift, decisive movement, he struck the drum. The sound that erupted was unlike anything I had ever heard. It wasn't merely a loud bang. It was a resonant, echoing boom that seemed to shake the very ground beneath my feet. It resonated not just in my ears, but deep within my chest, a physical vibration that resonated with the ancient energy of the drum and the mystical atmosphere of the clearing. The sound itself felt ancient, imbued with the power of ages past and echoing through the forest. It was a summoning, a call that pierced the veil between worlds, a sound that spoke of power and mystery, of the unseen and the unknown. It was a sound that promised change. The first beat of the drum echoes across the still water, a deep, resonant sound that seems to vibrate through your very bones. It's a sound that resonates not just in the air, but within the very core of your being. The stillness of the evening, previously unbroken save for the gentle lapping of water against the shore, is shattered by this primal pulse. The drum, a massive, age-worn thing crafted from some dark, heavy wood, sits before Taro, its surface gleaming faintly in the fading light. He sits cross-legged, his posture serene, his hands moving with a practiced grace over the taut skin. The initial boom is followed by a brief pause, a pregnant silence that heightens the anticipation before the next strike. The air itself seems to hold its breath, waiting. As Taro continues, the rhythm intensifies, building in a hypnotic crescendo. It's not a chaotic cacophony. Rather, it's a deliberate, purposeful progression. Each beat follows the last with an almost mathematical precision, yet there's a primal energy coursing through the sound, a raw power that speaks of ancient forces and untamed spirits. The steady pulse deepens, growing in volume and intensity. The still water responds, its surface rippling in time with the drum's rhythmic thrumming. The air itself crackles with energy. A gentle breeze, previously absent, begins to stir, whispering through the reeds and rustling the leaves of the nearby trees. The scent of damp earth and salt water becomes stronger, sharpened by the intensity of the drumming. The world seems to be focusing, converging on the hypnotic beat. It's a mesmerizing spectacle, both awe-inspiring and deeply calming. You feel a profound connection to the rhythm, a primal resonance that transcends language and understanding. The rhythmic pounding continues, escalating and then subtly shifting, its hypnotic influence drawing you deeper into its embrace. It's no longer merely sound, it's a physical sensation, a vibration that permeates your being. The beat of the drum synchronizes with your heartbeat, establishing a peaceful and hypnotic rhythm for optimal sleep. Your breathing slows, falling into the same steady pattern as the drum. The tension that had subtly clung to your shoulders melts away, replaced by a profound sense of calm. Your mind, previously racing with thoughts and anxieties, stills, becoming receptive to the soothing soundscape. You feel yourself drifting, surrendering to the rhythm's comforting embrace, the worries of the day receding into a distant, muted background hum. The rhythmic pulse lulls you, gently guiding you towards a deep, restful sleep. The drumming, though seemingly simple, holds a complex history. In the annals of samurai warfare, drumming played a significant role in battlefield strategy, used to coordinate attacks and intimidate opponents. The rhythmic pounding of war drums served as a signal, a cohesive force uniting warriors in a synchronized onslaught. The carefully orchestrated beats could relay commands across vast distances, guiding the movements of troops amidst the chaos of battle. Imagine the thunderous rhythm reverberating across the battlefield, a physical manifestation of the samurai's unwavering determination and formidable power, a sound that instilled both fear and unwavering loyalty in the hearts of soldiers alike. The drums weren't just instruments, they were extensions of the samurai spirit itself, a visceral link to the heart of the battle. Beyond its strategic use, the rhythmic power of the drum holds a fascinating and unexpected quirk. The rhythm of Taro's drum is said to match the heart rate of a sleeping baby, instantly soothing listeners. It's a gentle, lulling rhythm, a comforting auditory blanket that evokes a sense of security and tranquility. This subtle resonance with the natural rhythm of a sleeping infant speaks to the deep-seated connection between sound and the human psyche, a connection that transcends age and culture. The drum's pulse is not merely a sequence of beats, it's a language understood on a subconscious level, a primal lullaby that soothes anxieties and fosters a state of profound relaxation. As the drum's steady rhythm washes over you, you sense this connection, feeling a profound sense of peace and contentment settle over your soul. The world outside fades, replaced by the warm, comforting pulse of the drum, a rhythm that takes you deeper and deeper into the tranquility of sleep. The rhythmic beat continues, a constant companion in your journey to slumber. The drumming becomes a part of you, a comforting presence as darkness descends and sleep finally claims you. The sky above Lake Biwa, once a serene canvas of twilight hues, now churned with a malevolent energy. Dark, bruised clouds, heavy with the promise of rain, gathered ominously, their shadows stretching long fingers across the still water. The air, moments ago still and warm, crackled with anticipation. A deep, resonating drum beat pulsed from somewhere beyond the immediate shoreline, its rhythm growing steadily more intense, a palpable heartbeat mirroring the gathering storm. A jagged streak of lightning tore through the darkening sky, illuminating Taro's face etched with a concentration that bordered on reverence. He sat cross-legged on a moss-covered rock, his eyes fixed on the roiling clouds, his hands resting calmly on the worn surface of a small, intricately carved wooden drum. The light revealed the fine lines etched around his eyes, a testament to years spent under the relentless sun and the equally unforgiving gaze of the heavens. The sudden illumination highlighted the almost imperceptible tremor in his hands, a subtle reflection of the growing intensity of the storm. The wind, once a gentle caress, now howled a ferocious lament, whipping across the surface of the lake. Small waves, initially ripples disturbed by the wind's playful fingers, quickly grew into frothy crests, their rhythmic lapping against the shore a counterpoint to the drum's relentless beat. The sound was both disconcerting and strangely soothing, a symphony of nature's raw power, its immersive quality both captivating and unsettling. The wind carried with it the scent of petrichor, the unmistakable earthy fragrance that follows rain, a sensory balm that eased the tension, subtly calming the nerves while heightening the sense of mystery. This clean, fresh scent, a whisper of the approaching storm, intertwined with the salty tang of the lake, creating a unique olfactory experience that was both grounding and evocative. The historical weight of the moment settled heavily, a palpable presence woven into the fabric of the approaching storm. The samurai period, a time of both magnificent artistry and brutal conflict, was frequently ravaged by typhoons and violent storms. These tempestuous events, often arriving with little warning, had the power to alter the course of battles, destroying crops and leaving villages in ruins. The capriciousness of the weather was a powerful force, shaping the landscape and influencing the lives of the people who inhabited it. The wind picked up, carrying with it whispers from the past. Historians continue to debate the interpretations of these violent storms during the samurai era. Were they simply acts of nature, random occurrences beyond human control? Or did the people of that time see these powerful meteorological events as a manifestation of divine wrath, a direct consequence of their actions, reflecting the moral or spiritual state of the nation? Did the samurai believe their battles and bloodshed invited the wrath of the kami, manifested in the fury of the elements? Or did they see the storms simply as unpredictable forces of nature to be weathered, like any other obstacle on the path of life? The drumming intensified, each beat a heartbeat echoing the turbulent sky above. The lightning flashes grew more frequent, illuminating the scene with an almost theatrical light, casting long, dancing shadows across the lake. The storm was no longer approaching, it was here. The wind's fury increased, the waves now crashing against the shore with a powerful rhythmic force, mirroring the relentless beat of the drum. The scent of petrichor grew stronger, mingling with the salty spray, a powerful olfactory marker of the approaching deluge. The lake, once a mirror reflecting the fading light, now reflected a tumultuous sky, a churning canvas of dark clouds and flashing lightning. The dramatic scene, a perfect blend of nature's raw power and spiritual significance, held a hypnotic quality, a mesmerizing prelude to the storm's full fury. Taro remained unmoved, his gaze fixed on the brewing tempest, his rhythmic drumming a defiant counterpoint to the chaos unfolding around him. He was a solitary figure, silhouetted against the storm, a testament to the enduring human spirit facing the capricious power of nature. The air hung heavy with the anticipation of rain, the weight of history, and the unspoken question of whether the storm was a judgment or simply a storm. The sky ripped open, not gradually, not with a gentle sigh of impending rain, but with a ferocious tear, unleashing a deluge that hammered the earth. The wind, a banshee wail moments before, now howled like a tormented beast, whipping the rain into a frenzied dance around Taro. He stood, unyielding, a solitary figure at the heart of the tempest, his drum a steady heartbeat against the chaotic symphony of the storm. The drumming resonated, deep and primal, a pulse that seemed to emanate not just from the taut skin of the drum, but from the very earth beneath my feet. Each beat was a thunderclap echoed by the sky, each tremor of the drum a shiver in the wind. It wasn't just the sound, it was a tangible force, a vibration that resonated within my bones, drawing me into the heart of the storm's fury. The rain, a relentless assault mere moments ago, transformed. It became a part of the rhythm, a counterpoint to the drum's deep throb. Each drop was a tiny percussion instrument, its impact on the earth adding to the rhythmic complexity. The wind, too, became a dancer, swirling and leaping in a wild ballet around the drumming, its gusts now almost harmonizing with the drum's powerful beat. The thunder, initially a frightening roar, shifted to a more measured cadence, echoing the drum's slow, deliberate rhythm. It was a mesmerizing dance, a wild, untamed dance of the elements choreographed by the ancient rhythm. The sounds intertwined, a chaotic yet strangely calming blend. The harshness of the storm was softened, tempered by the unwavering rhythm of the drum. It was a paradox, a furious tempest tamed by the hypnotic pulse of music, the cacophony resolving into a strangely soothing whole. The individual sounds, the drumming, the wind's howl, the rain's patter, the thunder's rumble, were distinct yet interwoven, forming a unique acoustic tapestry that resonated deep within my soul. It was as if the storm itself was breathing, its every exhalation and inhalation synchronized with the drum's powerful, hypnotic rhythm. I found myself captivated, drawn into this auditory trance. The world seemed to dissolve, the furious storm fading into the background as the rhythmic pulse of the drum took center stage. My breath evened out, mirroring the slow, steady beat. It was a powerful experience, almost overwhelming in its intensity, yet strangely calming. My mind stilled, anxieties and worries dissolving like mist in the driving rain. The thought struck me then that this was more than just a performance. This was a profound connection with the ancient power of nature, a connection that transcended the boundaries of modern understanding. I recalled fragments of information about ancient Japanese healers who employed rhythmic sounds and hypnotic drumming to induce trance-like states in their patients, using these techniques for therapeutic purposes. This wasn't merely a coincidence. This was a testament to a profound understanding of the relationship between sound, rhythm, and the human psyche, a knowledge passed down through generations. The spiritual relationship between humans and nature in ancient Japan dawned on me with renewed clarity. It wasn't simply a matter of coexisting. It was a matter of deep, reverential communion. Nature wasn't simply an environment to be exploited, but a living entity, a powerful force to be understood, respected, and even worshipped. The personification of nature, the attribution of spirits and deities to mountains, rivers, and storms. This wasn't mere folklore. It was a reflection of a deep-seated spiritual understanding, a symbiotic relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. Taro's drumming continued, a relentless pulse at the heart of the storm. The dance of the elements, the wind's frantic gyrations, the rain's ceaseless pounding, the thunder's echoing boom, was orchestrated by this ancient rhythm, a rhythm that echoed the heartbeat of the earth itself. And in the midst of this chaos, there was a profound stillness, a calmness that seeped into my very being. The rain, the wind, the thunder, and the drum all merged, becoming a single powerful entity, a testament to the enduring connection between humans and the natural world. It was an experience that transcended the boundaries of language, an experience that spoke to the very core of my being, a powerful and unforgettable encounter with the primal, untamed heart of nature, guided by the ancient rhythms of the drum. The storm raged on, yet within its tempestuous heart I found a profound sense of peace. The rain hammered the surface of Lake Biwa, a relentless assault that obliterated the reflection in the still water mirror. For a time, the lake was a churning gray, a canvas devoid of image, only the rhythmic percussion of the storm against the shore. The wind howled, a banshee wail that clawed at the edges of my sanity. I huddled deeper into the shelter of the ancient willow, its branches thrashing like tortured limbs in the gale. Then, as the storm reached its apex, a strange thing happened. The reflection, instead of remaining absent, began to distort, to writhe. The gray surface became a canvas of fractured light and shadow, where reality and illusion blurred into a terrifyingly beautiful spectacle. The rain itself seemed to warp the image, pulling and stretching the reflections into grotesque, almost surreal forms. Glimpses of the past, fragmented and fleeting, appeared within that swirling vortex of water and rain. Faces flashed before me, stern, weathered faces, the faces of samurai. Their eyes, though blurred by the tempest, held a chilling intensity. Some were fierce, battle-worn, their expressions etched with the weight of countless skirmishes. Others were younger, their faces showing a naive confidence that war would inevitably temper. They seemed to watch me from beyond the veil of time, their gaze unwavering. Then, the villages appeared, ghostly outlines shimmering through the rain-lashed surface. Huts clustered around the lake's edge, their thatch roofs bowing under the storm's fury. I saw glimpses of life, figures moving in and out of the smoke-filled homes, the faintest suggestion of laughter, of children playing. These were scenes of peace, a stark contrast to the savage warriors whose faces haunted the distorted reflections. But even the peaceful scenes were touched by the ominous presence of the storm, rendered fragile and vulnerable in the face of nature's untamed power. It was as if the lake itself held the memory of centuries, a restless mirror reflecting the brutal beauty of both war and peace. The wind shifted, its ferocious shriek gradually subsiding into a mournful sigh. The rain began to ease, the drumming of the storm slowly fading into a gentle patter. A different rhythm emerged, not the hypnotic drumming of the tempest, but a calming melody, a low hum that seemed to emanate from the lake itself. The chaotic dance of reflection stilled, the water gradually regaining its composure. The surreal images began to fade, leaving behind only the serene, though still rain-streaked, reflection of the willow and the darkening sky. The storm had passed, leaving behind an unsettling peace. As the first stars began to pierce the thinning clouds, my mind wandered to the samurai I had glimpsed in the distorted reflections. Their strict codes of honor, their mastery of swordsmanship and strategic warfare, were facts woven into the fabric of history. They were masters of both the blade and the art of war, their disciplined lives dedicated to the service of their daimyo. Yet history also tells another story. Historians debate the true nature of the samurai's honor. Was it a genuine virtue, a deeply ingrained code that governed their actions, or was it a later romanticization, a convenient narrative crafted to gloss over the brutality of their deeds? Were they truly honorable warriors, or were their actions motivated by ambition, power, and the relentless pursuit of glory? The violent reality of war, the countless lives lost to their skill, seemed to contradict the idealized image often presented. The line between noble sacrifice and callous violence blurred in the storm-tossed reflections, mirroring the complex and often contradictory nature of human history. Perhaps the truth, as often is the case, lies somewhere in between the idealized myths and the stark realities of conflict. The storm, in its wild intensity, had momentarily revealed this ambiguity, this uncomfortable tension between image and reality, leaving me to grapple with the unsettling echoes of the past. The wind, a furious beast moments ago, began to tire. Its howls softened into sighs, its ferocious gusts dwindling to gentle breezes. The rain, a relentless torrent that had lashed against everything in its path, thinned, softening into a fine, almost imperceptible drizzle. The drumming of the storm, the relentless percussion of rain on the roof, and the thundering of the waves against the shore slowed. Each beat became less frantic, more deliberate, stretching out in time, a soothing rhythm replacing the chaotic onslaught. It was as if a conductor had subtly shifted the tempo of a tumultuous symphony, drawing the listener towards a calming, peaceful resolution. The violent cacophony receded, leaving behind a quieter, more melancholic melody. The clouds, heavy and dark moments before, began to thin, revealing glimpses of the sky beyond. First, a sliver of pale blue peeked through, then another, until the storm clouds were broken, scattered remnants drifting lazily across the vast expanse above. The oppressive darkness lifted, revealing a softer twilight luminosity that gradually intensified. This change wasn't gradual. It was a dramatic shift from the chaotic power of the storm to a quiet, almost ethereal calm. The world, moments before battered and bruised, began to breathe again. Slowly, almost hesitantly at first, the moonlight pierced the thinning veil of clouds. It touched the surface of the lake, previously churned into a frothing frenzy, now regaining its placid stillness. The reflection of the moon, a shimmering silver disk, appeared on the water's surface, a perfect mirror image of the celestial body above. The previously agitated waters grew calm, reflecting the light with an eerie clarity, mirroring the peace that seemed to have settled over the land. The mirror, placed strategically near the lake, also resumed its still, reflective state, its surface gleaming, polished, reflecting not just the moonlight, but also the muted scene around it, a testament to the storm's sudden retreat. The stillness of the lake, mirrored in the still surface of the glass, was unnerving in its perfect reflection of the changed atmosphere. It was as though the storm had never happened. An unsettlingly perfect restoration. This sudden cessation of the tempest wasn't just a meteorological event. It felt, to those who witnessed it, like a deliberate act, a conscious choice of the elements themselves. The calming rhythm of the retreating storm resonated deeply, a universal language understood across cultures and generations. The belief in the power of music and rhythm to calm the spirit is a common thread woven through the tapestries of human experience. From the chants and drums of ancient rituals to the lullabies sung to soothe restless children, the ability of sound to affect the emotional state is undeniable. This inherent faith in the soothing powers of melody found a visceral echo in the subtle shifts of the weather itself. The storm's gradual subsidence, the gentle rhythm of the remaining rain, felt intentional, a deliberate act of appeasement. As the landscape regained its composure, the reflections in the still water and the even stiller surface of the mirror invited contemplation. The events of the past hours, the ferocity of the storm, the near unbearable tension, now seemed distant, fading into the calm night. This unexpected quietude, this sudden peace, offered a moment for reflection, a pause for introspection. The samurai, who had weathered the storm both literally and metaphorically, found themselves pondering the larger picture, the unpredictable nature of fate, the profound influence of the intangible on the tangible world. Historians continue to debate the extent to which spirituality, ritual, and mysticism influenced the decisions and actions of these warriors. Was the profound respect for nature, the reverence for the unseen forces, a mere cultural trait? Or did it represent a deeper understanding of the world, a recognition of powers that defied rational explanation? The storm, so abruptly subdued, seemed to offer no clear answers, only a lingering sense of wonder and awe. The storm's sudden retreat, the almost instantaneous shift from chaos to calm, invited contemplation on the unpredictable forces that shape destinies. The subtle rhythms of the receding storm, echoing the ancient belief in the power of music and rhythm to soothe and calm, provided a poignant backdrop to this moment of profound reflection. The silence, punctuated only by the gentle patter of the remaining rain and the soft lapping of the waves against the shore, felt heavy with unspoken questions, unresolved mysteries. The moon, high in the now clear sky, seemed to shine a silent blessing on the land, a quiet testament to the enduring power of the natural world and the mysteries it held. The tarnished surface of the mirror, once clouded with an opaque film of grime and age, now shone with an almost unnatural clarity. The reflection was breathtaking. The miniature shrine, nestled beside the tranquil lake, was rendered with exquisite detail. Each delicate carving on its wooden frame, each tiny detail of the offertory stand before it, was mirrored perfectly. Beyond the shrine, the vast expanse of the lake shimmered, its surface undisturbed, a mirror reflecting the boundless azure of the sky. The scene was idyllic, almost overwhelmingly so. A stillness permeated the reflection, a profound quiet that felt heavier than the silence of a deserted forest. It was a stillness that bordered on the uncanny, a calmness so complete it felt wrong. But it wasn't just the perfect reflection that held Turo's attention. His own image stared back at him, distorted yet strangely familiar. His reflection wasn't simply a mirror image. It was a warped, almost dreamlike portrayal. His features were softened, his usual sharp lines blurred, replaced by a serene composure that didn't quite match the turmoil he felt within. His eyes, usually bright and inquisitive, held a depth of sadness, a weary acceptance that seemed to emanate from the very depths of his being. The mirror wasn't merely reflecting his physical form. It was reflecting his soul, revealing the emotional landscape hidden beneath the surface. The serene expression was a mask, thinly veiled over a profound inner struggle. It was a reflection not just of what he looked like, but of what he felt. The disparity between the outward serenity and the inward turmoil was jarring, unsettling. As he gazed into the mirror's depths, a melody began to weave its way into the stillness. It wasn't a loud or intrusive sound. Instead, it was a gentle, almost imperceptible wave of sound, a soothing cascade of notes that seemed to emanate from the mirror itself. The music was ethereal, an enchanting blend of flute-like tones and subtle percussion, creating a sense of profound peace. It flowed effortlessly, guiding Taro towards a deeper state of relaxation, easing the tension that had clenched his muscles for so long. Each note was a brushstroke, painting a landscape of tranquility on the canvas of his mind. The melody didn't just fill the space. It seemed to seep into him, washing away the stress, the anxieties, the uncertainties that had haunted him. It was a hypnotic lullaby, a siren song of calm, leading him into a place of profound tranquility. The unsettling stillness of the reflection, the distorted yet somehow comforting image of himself, and the mesmerizing melody all coalesced, creating an experience that was both unsettling and strangely comforting. The clarity of the reflection was undeniably beautiful, yet the pervasive stillness hinted at something more profound, something beyond simple visual representation. The mirror, in its flawless clarity, seemed to be a window not only into the world outside, but into the hidden depths of Taro's own being. The memories of historical texts swam to the surface of his mind. He remembered reading about Shinto beliefs, the ancient Japanese faith, and its reverence for mirrors. These weren't simply reflective surfaces. They were considered sacred objects, portals that could hold spirits, capable of reflecting not just the physical world, but the spiritual realm as well. Shinto tradition held that mirrors could be used to banish evil spirits, to purify the space, to act as conduits between the visible and invisible worlds. The scholars debated the evolution of these beliefs, arguing over the origins and development of Shinto practices over the centuries. Some historians argued that Shinto beliefs had gradually evolved, influenced by other cultures and religions over time. Others maintained that a core set of beliefs had persisted throughout history, adapting and transforming while retaining its fundamental essence. The influence of Shinto on Japanese society, from its artistic expression to its societal norms, was undeniable. The reverence for nature, the emphasis on purity and ritual, the belief in kami, spirits inhabiting the natural world, all stemmed from this ancient faith. As Taro continued to gaze into the mirror, the serene reflection, the hypnotic melody, and the weight of historical knowledge converged within him. The mirror's clarity was not merely a visual phenomenon, it was a reflection of both the physical world and the emotional state of its viewer, a testament to the intricate interplay between the visible and invisible, the tangible and the intangible. The unsettling stillness and the distorted yet serene reflection of his own face, combined with the soothing melody, suggested something deeper than a simple reflection, a reflection of his soul, cleansed and revealed through the mystical properties attributed to the mirror within Shinto belief. The unnatural calm of the scene was not simply a visual representation, but a tangible expression of a spiritual awakening, a process guided by the calming rhythm of the mirror's mystical song. The mirror, in its multifaceted nature, acted as a catalyst, a vessel through which Taro confronted his inner turmoil and discovered a path towards peace. A soft light, almost imperceptible at first, began to emanate from the antique mirror nestled within the ornate shrine. It wasn't a harsh, blinding light, but a gentle luminescence, like the first blush of dawn. This soft glow steadily intensified, spreading outwards, bathing the small chamber in a warm, ethereal radiance. The air, once still and cool, grew noticeably warmer, a pleasant heat that settled over the skin like a comforting blanket. And then, the scent. A wave of intoxicating fragrance, a delicate blend of cherry blossoms and something subtly sweeter, like ripe peaches kissed by the sun, filled the air. A sensory symphony, accompanying the unfolding spectacle. The light continued to build, reaching a crescendo that illuminated every detail of the shrine. The intricate carvings on the wood, the delicate brushstrokes of the faded paintings, the dust motes dancing in the golden beams. But the light itself wasn't the only thing changing. An undeniable presence filled the chamber, a palpable weight in the air that spoke of immense power. It wasn't a hostile force, not in the least. There was a benevolence to it, a feeling of profound peace and acceptance that washed over you, soothing your anxieties and calming your racing heart. Yet, woven into this benevolence was a thread of sorrow, a deep, resonant sadness that vibrated with an ancient grief. This was it, the awakening. The forgotten deity, slumbering for centuries within the mirror's reflective depths, had stirred. But it wasn't the triumphant return expected in the ancient prophecies. There was no dramatic emergence, no thunderous proclamation. Instead, the awakening was subtle, almost shy, a gentle stirring of a long-dormant consciousness. The deity revealed itself not in a burst of divine might, but in a quiet, pervasive presence, a feeling more than a tangible form. It was a subtle shift in the very fabric of reality, a gentle whisper on the wind, a silent acknowledgement of its own return. A voice, soft as the rustling of silk, began to speak, its words weaving a tapestry of time, memory, and loss. It wasn't a voice that echoed in your ears, but a voice that seemed to resonate within your very being, a narration whispered directly to your soul. The words, ancient and yet strangely familiar, flowed like a river, carrying you away on a current of poignant stories and forgotten histories. The narrative described ages long past, the rise and fall of civilizations, the subtle interplay of Shinto and Buddhist practices during the tumultuous samurai period, a period historians still debate regarding the depth of their mutual influence. The deity's tale was a lament, a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, of triumphs and tragedies, a chronicle of a world both beautiful and fleeting. The voice described the gradual fading of its worship, the slow erosion of its power as new beliefs took root. It spoke of the isolation, the loneliness of being forgotten, the slow, aching withdrawal of faith. The deity wasn't angry, nor vengeful. Its sorrow was not a weapon, but a melancholic melody that played out in the shifting lights and scents of the chamber. It spoke of the beauty of the ephemeral, the preciousness of each fleeting moment, the profound interconnectedness of all things. The atmosphere was becoming increasingly dreamlike. The line between reality and reverie blurred, and the edges of your consciousness softened. The gentle rhythm of the voice, the soothing scent of blossoms, the warm glow of the light, all combined to create a state of profound tranquility, a lulling descent into a peaceful slumber. The voice, still whispering, touched upon the ancient association many cultures held between mirrors and the spiritual realm. It spoke of mirrors as portals, reflecting not only the physical world, but also the unseen, the ethereal, the realms beyond mortal understanding. It spoke of souls reflected in their surfaces, connections to the afterlife, the subtle mirroring of the spiritual and physical planes. The deity described how the mirror itself had become a vessel, a prison, and a sanctuary. A vessel holding its essence, a prison confining its power, a sanctuary protecting its memories. And, in the silence between its whispers, the weight of centuries pressed down, the poignant reminder of a forgotten presence, quietly reawakened. The narrative continued, seamlessly weaving together myth and history, personal experience and universal truths. It painted vivid pictures with words, so detailed and evocative that you could almost see the bustling streets of ancient Kyoto, smell the incense burning in forgotten temples, feel the chill wind sweeping across the desolate plains. The voice, a testament to the deity's boundless compassion, gently nudged you toward a deeper understanding of the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. The feeling of sorrow lingered, but now it was interwoven with a sense of acceptance, a quiet understanding that even in loss there is beauty to be found. The light began to soften, the scent of blossoms gradually fading, as the deity's narrative drew to a close. The warmth of the chamber lessened, yet a profound sense of peace remained, a quiet contentment that settled over you like a feather. The deity, having shared its story, seemed to retreat once more, its presence gradually fading as the light dimmed, leaving behind only the lingering fragrance of blossoms and the echoing whispers of a forgotten tale. You were left in the quiet aftermath, changed by the experience, lulled into a deep and restful sleep, cradled by the memory of the awakening. The gentle whispers of the deity continued in your dreams, a lullaby of ancient memories, a promise of continued understanding, and the quiet echo of a sorrowful, yet ultimately benevolent awakening. The air hung heavy with the lingering scent of sea salt and ozone, the storm's fury finally spent. The mirror, propped against a driftwood log, reflected not my own anxious face, but a swirling nebula of colors, a kaleidoscope of amethyst and jade. Then, slowly, the nebula coalesced, resolving into a figure bathed in an ethereal light. It wasn't a human form, not in any sense I could comprehend, but a presence, both comforting and awe-inspiring. A voice, soft as the whisper of the returning tide, filled my ears. It wasn't spoken in any language I knew, yet I understood. It resonated deep within my soul, a soothing balm to my troubled spirit. "Peace, child," the voice murmured. "Acceptance." The words hung in the air, light as dandelion seeds carried on a gentle breeze. Fear, which had been my constant companion since the storm's onslaught, began to recede. The voice continued, its timbre like the chime of distant temple bells. The tempest was not a punishment, nor a display of wrath. It was a cleansing, a ritual. The deity's words unfolded slowly, revealing a truth I hadn't dared to consider. The storm, with its terrifying power, hadn't been a random act of nature. It had been a deliberate act, a necessary purging. The mirror's reflection shifted, showing fleeting images, dark clouds dissolving, tainted waters purifying, hearts heavy with sorrow lightening. I saw the land, ravaged yet somehow renewed. I saw the people, weary yet hopeful. The negativity, the bitterness that clung to this land, to its inhabitants. It had to be removed, the voice explained. The storm was the instrument, a harsh but necessary medicine. The understanding washed over me like a tidal wave. The fear gave way to a profound sense of calm, a serenity I had never known before. The storm, in its violence, had brought about a cleansing, preparing the way for a brighter future. The image in the mirror shifted again, this time showing fragmented scenes from a long-forgotten past. I saw warriors, clad in steel, their faces etched with both determination and weariness. Samurai. Their lives were a constant dance of loyalty and betrayal, a whirlwind of political intrigue. Vassals to the shogun, the supreme military ruler. Their swords were ever ready, their allegiances constantly tested in the relentless power struggles that shaped the nation. The scenes were fleeting, glimpses into a world both fascinating and brutal. The mirror, a symbol of reflection and self-awareness, seemed to hold a myriad of untold stories within its polished surface. It highlighted the stark contrast between the outwardly disciplined facade of the samurai and the inner turmoil of their constant struggles for power and position. Then the image changed again to the intricate details of a samurai's tsuba, a sword guard. The voice whispered, "Even their mirrors held secrets, child. Reflections not just of their physical selves, but of their inner worlds, constantly shifting and evolving. Scholars still puzzle over their use, the variations across clans and eras. The reflection showed the intricate carvings on different tsuba, each unique, reflecting the individual style and beliefs of the samurai who wielded the blade. This highlighted the deeply personal nature of these seemingly uniform warriors. Their relationship with their mirrors, be it for practical grooming or for deeper contemplation, is still shrouded in mystery, a testament to the hidden depths of their culture. The images faded, replaced once more by the swirling nebula. Then, slowly, the nebula dissipated, leaving behind only the gentle shimmer of the mirror's surface, reflecting the tranquil waters of the receding tide. The ethereal light dimmed, leaving behind the soft glow of twilight. The voice faded, replaced by the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. A symphony of tranquility filled the air, replacing the cacophony of the storm. The music from before, the haunting melody of the storm's fury, had vanished completely. Only the peaceful rhythm of the ocean remained, a lullaby that embraced me in its soothing embrace. The storm was over, the cleansing was complete, and in its aftermath, a profound stillness settled over me. A gift more precious than any I could have imagined. The cool glass of the mirror pressed against my skin. I hadn't even realized I was touching it until the reflection began to shift. The familiar image of my own face, bleary-eyed and slightly disheveled from sleep, fractured, dissolving into a swirling kaleidoscope of light and shadow. Then, as abruptly as it began, a scene solidified. I gasped, not from fear, but from sheer wonder. The image in the mirror wasn't my reflection anymore. I was looking into a bustling samurai encampment, the air thick with the smell of wood smoke and roasted meat. Men in gleaming armor, their faces etched with a mixture of grim determination and weary exhaustion, sharpened their swords. The rhythmic clang of steel against whetstone was almost hypnotic, weaving itself into the peaceful melody that continued to play softly in the background, a strangely comforting counterpoint to the scenes of violence unfolding before my eyes. The melody itself was a gentle lullaby, a cascade of flutes and kotos, soothing and melancholic. It wove its way through the visuals, enhancing the overall experience rather than clashing with the violent images. The music, even more than the visuals, seemed to lull me deeper into this waking dream. The battle scene faded, replaced by a lavish feast. Samurai, their armor discarded, sat around low tables laden with food. Laughter and boisterous conversation filled the air, a stark contrast to the brutality I'd witnessed moments before. One samurai, his face still bearing the scars of countless battles, held a small, polished mirror aloft, the candlelight glinting off its surface. It was an exquisite piece, crafted with meticulous detail. The reflection in that tiny mirror momentarily showed me his own weary yet determined gaze, a silent acknowledgement of the life he led. That small mirror, I realized, was not just a personal item. It was a potent symbol, a reflection of his strength, his self-awareness, his unwavering commitment to the code of the samurai. A surprising number of the samurai shown to me held similar mirrors, further reinforcing the significance of this small yet powerful artifact. The feast dissolved, giving way to an elaborate tea ceremony. The movements of the participants were precise, almost ritualistic, each gesture imbued with a deep sense of grace and respect. The serene atmosphere was a welcome respite from the violence and chaos I'd witnessed previously. The juxtaposition was jarring, yet strangely fitting, a testament to the duality of life within the samurai class, the constant threat of death juxtaposed with moments of intense beauty and tranquility. The scenes continued to shift. A samurai wedding procession, a solemn funeral ritual, a tense political negotiation in a dimly lit castle hall. Each glimpse was brief, fleeting, like fragments of a shattered dream. Yet, within those brief glimpses, the lives of the samurai, their triumphs, their losses, their unwavering dedication to their code, became profoundly real. These were not just figures in history books, but real people living and breathing lives of both extraordinary violence and quiet contemplation. But these images weren't only focused on the elite samurai class. As the scenes shifted, I caught glimpses of the lives of ordinary people. Farmers toiling in rice paddies, their backs bent under the weight of labor. Artisans meticulously crafting objects of beauty and utility. Merchants bartering in bustling marketplaces. Each scene was a fleeting glimpse, but together they painted a picture of a society profoundly shaped by feudalism, a system that dictated every aspect of their lives from birth to death. The impact of that system, I began to realize, was far more complex than I'd ever imagined. The serene melodies of the background music seemed to underscore the quiet suffering, the often overlooked struggles of those living outside the glittering world of the samurai. The music now held a subtle melancholic undercurrent, a reflection of the profound inequalities that permeated this era. The fleeting images in the mirror highlighted the inherent contradictions and complexities of life under feudalism, a historical period that continues to challenge and intrigue researchers to this day. The history of this time, I realized, was far more nuanced than the simplified narratives I had encountered. The research into the daily lives of ordinary people during this time is clearly still a work in progress, and the small glimpses I was seeing were only a sliver of a much larger story. The mirror's reflection flickered once more, then settled back into my own face. The peaceful melody continued to play, a soft lullaby that eased me further into the embrace of sleep. The echoes of the past, however, lingered, vivid and unforgettable. The images, the sounds, the weight of history pressed upon me even as I drifted off to sleep, a silent testament to the enduring power of the past. The small, polished mirror, a symbol of both strength and self-awareness, remained a potent image in my mind, a reminder of the intricate lives lived under the shadow of the samurai. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. A stillness, deeper than the quiet of the forest, settled over the village as twilight deepened. Here, nestled amongst the ancient cypress trees and the whispering reeds bordering the serene lake, the weight of tradition pressed down with the force of a mountain. It was a weight felt in the rigid structure of their society, where each person occupied a meticulously defined place, their lives predetermined by birth and lineage. It was a weight etched into the very fabric of their daily lives, a constant, underlying hum of fear of violating the unspoken rules, fear of incurring the wrath of the powerful, fear of the violence that simmered just beneath the placid surface of their seemingly peaceful existence. This fear was particularly acute for the women. Their voices, muted for generations, were rarely heard beyond the confines of their homes. Their contributions, essential to the fabric of village life, were unseen, unacknowledged, their stories swallowed by the relentless tide of patriarchal tradition. They were the keepers of ancient lore, the weavers of intricate tapestries, the cultivators of the rice paddies. Yet their existence was relegated to the shadows, their potential stifled by the suffocating weight of expectation. Even their songs, once vibrant and full of life, had been softened, their melodies dulled by centuries of enforced silence. Tonight, however, a different kind of music filled the air. It was not the boisterous celebratory music of festivals, nor the rhythmic chants of the rice harvest. This was a quieter music, slower and softer, each note carefully placed, a deliberate counterpoint to the oppressive silence that had long held sway. The melody, ancient and haunting, drifted across the still water, weaving itself into the tapestry of the evening. It was a music designed not to rouse, but to soothe, to lull, to induce a state of peaceful relaxation that drifted inevitably toward sleep. The notes, drawn from a shakuhachi flute, seemed to emanate from the very heart of the lake itself, each tone mirroring the tranquil depths, the silent secrets held within its embrace. The music spoke of the samurai, a warrior class whose very existence was defined by unwavering loyalty to their lords, bound by a strict code of conduct that dictated every facet of their lives, from the way they wielded their swords to the manner in which they carried themselves. This code, the Bushido, was a rigid structure, demanding absolute obedience and unwavering discipline. It was a testament to the weight of tradition, a code that had shaped generations and left its indelible mark on the very soul of Japan. The storytellers, gathered around a crackling fire, spoke in hushed tones, their voices barely audible above the gentle music. They spoke of legends, tales whispered from generation to generation, stories rarely documented in official histories. Local narratives centered around the lakes of ancient Japan. These were tales of mischievous water spirits, of vengeful ghosts, of hidden treasures guarded by ancient dragons. These legends, unique to their region, rarely received national recognition. Yet, they formed a rich tapestry of local history, a source of pride and identity for the villagers, a secret language shared only amongst themselves. One old woman, her face etched with the wisdom of many years, spoke of a lake monster said to inhabit the deepest part of the water, a creature both terrifying and benevolent. She described its scales, shimmering like 1,000 emeralds under the moonlight, its eyes like pools of molten gold. According to her tale, this creature acted as a guardian of the lake, protecting its tranquility, its secrets, and its inhabitants. Another storyteller described a hidden cave beneath the lake, where a legendary sword imbued with potent magic was rumored to be hidden. The music continued, its tempo slowing further, its volume decreasing, becoming almost imperceptible, a mere whisper in the night. The villagers, lulled by the melody and the hypnotic rhythm of the stories, were gradually overcome by sleep. Their bodies relaxed, their minds unburdened. In the embrace of the music and the weight of their shared history, even the ever-present fear seemed to momentarily ease its grip, replaced by a sense of tranquility. Even the weight of tradition, so oppressive during the day, felt lighter, almost comforting, in the hushed stillness of the night. The lake, reflecting the moonlit sky, mirrored the stillness within them, a silent witness to the secrets whispered on the breeze, the legends carried on the water, the weight of tradition borne silently on the hearts of the sleeping villagers. The music, a gentle lullaby, faded into the quiet night, leaving only the soft lapping of the water against the shore, the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze, and the quiet breathing of the villagers lost in peaceful slumber. The wind chimes outside my window tinkled a melancholic tune, a counterpoint to the steady rhythm of my own breathing. I closed my eyes, letting the sounds of the late-night city fade into the background hum of existence. But then, I heard them. Whispers. Faint at first, like the rustle of silk on a summer breeze, then growing stronger, coalescing into a chorus of unheard voices. These weren't the voices of the living, not in the way I understood the living. These were the whispers of the lost, the silenced. The voices of women whose artistry was confined to the shadows, their talents unseen, their names unwritten in the annals of history. I heard the frustrated sigh of a young woman, her brush poised above a silken scroll, her masterpiece destined to remain hidden away in a family chest, forgotten. Another voice, a child's voice, thin and reedy, spoke of a game played in a moonlit garden, a game that ended abruptly, its joyful laughter swallowed by the encroaching darkness of a long-ago tragedy. The whispers grew denser, weaving a tapestry of untold stories. Stories of daughters forced into arranged marriages, their dreams sacrificed at the altar of tradition. Stories of mothers who toiled tirelessly, their contributions to their families and communities overlooked, their identities swallowed by the anonymity of motherhood. These were the voices of the women who lived during the samurai period, their experiences largely absent from the official historical record. The role of women in the arts, in particular, remains a significantly understudied area, a fertile ground waiting to be tilled by historians and artists alike. Imagine the paintings never finished, the poems left unsung, the dances never performed, all lost to the passage of time and the biases of the chroniclers. I felt a pang of grief, a deep empathy for these women, their lives a silent symphony played out in the margins of history. One voice, distinct from the others, caught my attention. It was the voice of a geisha, her voice laced with a bittersweet nostalgia. She spoke of the exquisite beauty of her art, the precision of her movements, the subtle nuances of her expressions. Yet, beyond the painted smiles and the elaborate costumes, she revealed a sharp intelligence and a yearning for something more than the gilded cage of her profession. Her voice faded, leaving only a lingering scent of cherry blossoms and unspoken longings. The whispers continued, but they shifted, becoming softer, more ethereal. They were now the voices of children, their laughter echoing faintly, their games half-remembered. I heard the hushed tones of children playing hide-and-seek in ancient temples, their innocent chatter punctuated by sudden shrieks of delight or fear. These were stories of childhood, of the fleeting moments that make up a life, moments often overlooked in the larger narrative of history. These were the lives of children who died young, their stories never fully told, their potential unrealized. Each whisper was a small candle flickering in the vast darkness of forgotten histories. The collective weight of these lost voices, their collective sorrow, settled upon me like a soft blanket. It was a sadness not laced with anger, but with a deep sense of understanding, an acknowledgement of the countless lives that have passed, leaving behind only faint traces of their existence. It was a feeling that resonated deeply within me, a connection to the past, a sense of shared humanity that transcended the barriers of time and circumstance. The tempo of the whispers slowed, the volume decreased gradually. It was as if the lost voices were finally finding peace, their stories finally being heard, even if only in the quiet recesses of my own heart. The sounds faded, replaced by the gentle lull of the night. The wind chimes outside ceased their melancholic melody, and only the steady rhythm of my breathing remained. The air grew still, infused with a sense of serenity. It was a profound peace, a feeling of completion. This was the quiet conclusion of a long, untold story. The stories I heard resonated with the theme so often explored in Japanese folktales, the theme of hidden spirits, of forgotten histories, of the lingering presence of the past in the present. The spirits of those women, those children, were not gone. They were simply waiting, patiently, to be remembered. And in that moment of serene sleep, I felt a profound sense of connection to their silent stories, a connection born from empathy and understanding. In their quiet voices, in the fading whispers of the night, I found a profound peace, the kind that comes only from acknowledging and honoring the lives of those often overlooked, those whose stories are waiting to be uncovered. Gentle ambient sounds and a calming melody begin to play softly in the background. The wind whispers through the ancient bamboo forest, a soft rustling that echoes the quiet turmoil within. We're speaking of a legacy, a shadow stretching across centuries, the enduring weight of violence passed down through generations. This isn't a story of glorious battles and heroic conquests, but of the quiet, persistent trauma that festers in the heart of a people. It's a legacy etched, not just in history books, but in the very fabric of their being. The samurai period, a name that conjures images of gleaming katana, stoic warriors, and a romanticized code of honor. But beneath the polished surface of legend lies a brutal reality. We know from the historical record, and it's a record stained with blood, that this era was marked by relentless warfare. Internal conflicts tore apart the land, claiming countless lives. Fields lay fallow, villages were razed, and families shattered under the weight of unending violence. The death toll was staggering, the destruction widespread, a profound scar etched onto the landscape and into the souls of those who survived. This violence wasn't confined to the battlefield. The rigid social hierarchy, the constant threat of conflict, created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty that permeated every aspect of daily life. The trauma experienced by individuals rippled outwards, affecting families, communities, and ultimately shaping the cultural consciousness for generations to come. Children witnessed brutality. Parents lived in constant fear, and the very fabric of society was woven with the threads of violence. Think of the children who grew up amidst the sounds of clashing steel, the screams of the dying, the ever-present fear of attack. Their understanding of the world was shaped by this pervasive violence, a distorted reality that colored their perceptions and dictated their behavior. This trauma wasn't easily forgotten. It became ingrained in their subconscious, shaping their emotional responses, their relationships, and even their physical health. And the effects weren't limited to the immediate victims. The trauma was inherited, passed down through families, creating a cycle of violence that perpetuated itself across generations. This transmission wasn't necessarily a conscious act, but a subtle, insidious process etched into the very DNA of families. It manifested in various ways: in heightened anxiety, in impulsive aggression, in difficulties forming healthy attachments, in an inability to trust. The wounds of the past continued to bleed, their pain felt across time. The scholars painstakingly piecing together the fragments of this period are constantly revising our understanding. New evidence is continuously surfacing, challenging preconceived notions and revealing a far more complex and nuanced picture of samurai life and its impact on society. What we thought we knew is constantly being refined, rewritten, and reinterpreted. These discoveries underscore the enduring relevance of this period, not just as a historical event, but as a testament to the long-lasting effects of trauma and oppression. Consider the stories untold, the voices silenced. The women who endured unspeakable horrors, their suffering often relegated to the footnotes of history. The peasants who bore the brunt of the violence, their stories lost to the mists of time. The children whose lives were irrevocably altered, their childhoods stolen by war and fear. Their experiences, their pain, were all part of this legacy. Their silenced voices echo across the centuries, a testament to the human cost of prolonged conflict. The legacy of violence is not simply a historical event. It's a living, breathing reality. It shapes our present and influences our future. By understanding this legacy, we begin to grasp the profound and lasting effects of trauma, the importance of acknowledging the past, and the urgent need to break the cycle of violence that continues to plague our world. It is a challenge to acknowledge the full extent of the suffering and strive for empathy, for healing, for a future free from the shadow of the past. The gentle ambient sounds and calming melody continue to fade slowly. Sound of a mournful shamisen fades to silence. The sound of rushing water begins, strong at first, then gradually lessening to a gentle trickle. The wind whispers through the skeletal branches of the withered cherry trees, carrying with it the scent of dust and despair. The village lies hushed, cloaked in the gray pall of a perpetual twilight. Homes, once vibrant with laughter and the clatter of everyday life, are now dilapidated shells, their roofs sagging under the weight of neglect and sorrow. The fields, once a tapestry of golden rice, are barren, cracked earth baking under a relentless sun. This is the reality of the people, their lives etched with hardship and the constant gnawing fear of starvation. The samurai's iron fist crushes the spirit, stifling even the smallest spark of hope. Yet, the sound of the water continues, a soothing counterpoint to the harshness of the imagery. Amidst the darkness you see the seeds of rebellion, not the clash of swords or the roar of battle, but the quiet acts of resistance, the enduring human spirit flickering like a stubborn flame against the encroaching night. It's in the shared glance between two women, their eyes speaking volumes of unspoken defiance. It's in the hushed whispers exchanged in the dead of night, plans for survival, faint hope for a better future, intricately woven into the fabric of their folklore. It's in the way the village elder, his back bent, but his eyes still sharp, continues to teach the children their history. Stories not of conquest and glory, but of resilience, of cunning, of enduring the harshest storms. They pass down tales of ancestors who, facing similar adversity, found ways to survive, to endure, to even find moments of joy amidst the suffering. It's in the meticulous mending of a torn fishing net, a small act of defiance against the scarcity, a testament to their refusal to surrender. It's in the quiet dignity with which they accept their meager rations, their faces betraying a depth of sorrow, yet also an unyielding strength. Even in their suffering, they maintain a fragile sense of community, sharing what little they have, supporting each other, their bonds forged in the crucible of adversity. The sound of the water becomes barely audible, a gentle susurrus. These are the seeds of rebellion. Not the grand gestures, not the pronouncements from atop a hill, but the subtle, persistent acts of survival that represent a quiet, unwavering rejection of their subjugation. They are small things, easily overlooked, yet they are the bedrock upon which a new hope can be built. They are the embers of defiance, waiting for the right wind to fan them into a raging fire. And amongst this hardship, a peculiarity blooms. Despite the harsh reality, despite the constant struggle for survival, the peasants of this village maintain rich oral traditions and customs. Their songs, filled with melancholy yet imbued with a fierce spirit of hope, are passed down through generations. Their stories, their myths, their legends, all serve as repositories of their history, their resilience, their cultural identity. These traditions are not mere entertainment, they are a vital part of their survival, a means of preserving their cultural heritage in the face of oppression, a source of strength and comfort. Each folktale, each song, is a tiny act of rebellion, a reminder that even in the bleakest of times, the human spirit can endure. It is a silent testament to their determination to not let their culture be erased. The effects of the changing climate that remains largely uncharted territory for this era. Scholars are beginning to investigate the influence of climatic shifts during the samurai period, the long droughts and unpredictable monsoons, their impacts on agricultural output, on the availability of resources. The chronicles whisper of failed harvests, famines, and the increased desperation this wrought. But how did these factors interact with the already oppressive social structure? How did these environmental changes affect the dynamics of the village, the decisions of the samurai, and the quiet acts of resistance of the people? The answer, like the flow of the river, is still a mystery, waiting to be uncovered. The sound of the water fades completely to silence. The silence hangs heavy, pregnant with the unspoken hopes and fears of a people struggling to survive. Yet, even in this profound stillness, the seeds of rebellion remain, quietly growing, patiently waiting for their moment to bloom. The deity's words, echoing still in the recesses of my mind, began to unfurl like a gentle spring blossom. The initial shock, the overwhelming weight of grief and rage that had clung to me for so long, started to loosen its grip. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic shift, but a subtle thawing, a gradual melting of the ice that had encased my heart. It was as if a warm, sun-drenched breeze had swept through a long frozen landscape, thawing the earth and revealing the delicate shoots of new growth. The anger, once a roaring inferno, dwindled to a flickering ember, then a faint spark, finally extinguished altogether. The sorrow, a constant ache, softened into a quiet melancholy, a poignant remembrance rather than a debilitating pain. A profound sense of calm settled over me, a peace that transcended mere tranquility. It was a deep, abiding stillness, a recognition of the inherent interconnectedness of all things. This was not the absence of feeling, but the acceptance of all feelings, a quiet understanding that even pain and sorrow have their place in the grand tapestry of existence. The deity's message, simple yet profound, had found a fertile ground in my weary soul, taking root and blossoming into a quiet understanding. The rhythmic whisper of the waves, a constant companion throughout this journey, continued its gentle serenade. Each wave, a soft sigh against the shore, seemed to carry away the lingering vestiges of my turmoil. The sound, once merely a background hum, now possessed a hypnotic quality, each surge and retreat a soothing balm to my frayed nerves. It was a lullaby of the ocean, a timeless melody that promised rest and rejuvenation. The air, infused with the salty tang of the sea and the sweet fragrance of unseen blossoms, felt clean and fresh, washing away the grime and weariness of my troubled past. My breathing slowed, becoming deep and even, mirroring the rhythmic ebb and flow of the ocean's breath. My body, tense and rigid for so long, began to relax, the muscles unwinding, releasing the pent-up tension that had held me captive. A wave of drowsiness washed over me, a welcome surrender to the embrace of peaceful slumber. The image of the samurai, once a symbol of relentless conflict, began to fade, replaced by a vision of a different Japan, a land slowly transitioning into a period of relative stability and peace. The memory of the Tokugawa shogunate, a long era of centralized rule, surfaced in my mind, a stark contrast to the chaotic centuries that preceded it. This period, marked by a strict social hierarchy and a focus on internal affairs rather than constant warfare, represented a profound shift in Japanese society. The almost constant state of war, a defining characteristic of the samurai era, gradually gave way to a more peaceful, if not entirely conflict-free, existence. The centralized power of the shogunate, though undoubtedly wielding its own form of control, managed to quell the near-perpetual internal strife that had ravaged the land for so long. It was a significant turning point, a testament to the human capacity for change, for the evolution from a culture steeped in violence towards a society striving for peace, however imperfectly achieved. The transition, however, was not without its complexities and inherent contradictions, and much more research is needed to fully understand the intricate social dynamics involved. The change from the samurai period to the Tokugawa shogunate raised a cascade of further questions, particularly concerning the evolution of gender roles within Japanese society. The warrior culture of the samurai era undoubtedly had a significant impact on the roles and expectations of men and women. The rigid social hierarchy of the shogunate period, while promoting peace in some ways, likely also perpetuated certain societal norms, including those pertaining to gender. The shift from a society largely defined by military prowess and the almost mythic status of the samurai warrior to a society increasingly dominated by centralized administration and merchant classes would certainly have had a ripple effect on the lives and experiences of women. Understanding the impact on women's status, autonomy, and opportunities during this transformative period requires a deeper investigation. The existing narrative often overlooks the complex ways in which women adapted and navigated these changes, and their contributions to the societal shifts remain, in many cases, underexplored and underrepresented. To truly understand the lasting legacy of this pivotal era, we must delve deeper into the often unspoken experiences of women during this time. Further research is urgently needed to fully illuminate their lives and their role in shaping the new social landscape that emerged in the wake of the samurai period. Their stories, woven into the fabric of Japanese history, hold the key to a more complete and nuanced understanding of the transition to peace. The silence surrounding their contributions must be broken, revealing the depth and complexity of their involvement in this historical shift. The salt spray kissed Hana's face, a gentle caress compared to the storms she'd weathered. The rhythmic crash of the waves, once a relentless assault, had softened to a soothing murmur, a lullaby whispered by the sea. She sat on the worn gray stones, the setting sun painting the sky in hues of apricot and rose. It was a beauty born of endings, a breathtaking farewell to a day that had held both sorrow and unexpected grace. This quiet strength, this resilience blooming amidst the ruins of her past, was the enduring power of the human spirit, a testament to its capacity to not only survive, but to find a measure of peace even in the face of overwhelming adversity. The very air seemed to hum with a quiet understanding, a shared sigh of relief at the day's conclusion. The music, once a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of her experiences, now ebbed away. It wasn't a sudden silence, but a gradual fading, each note dissolving into the gentle hush of the approaching twilight. The sounds of the ocean retreated, their forceful rhythm replaced by the softest of whispers, the lapping of tiny waves against the shore, a gentle susurrus that promised rest. The melody transitioned to ambient textures, the subtle sounds of nature intertwining to create a soundscape that was both ethereal and grounding. It was the perfect soundtrack for letting go, for surrendering to the embrace of sleep. A sleep earned through facing the harsh realities of life with an unwavering heart. Hana closed her eyes, the lingering warmth of the sun on her skin, a comforting presence. The image of the meticulously raked gravel in her grandmother's garden floated into her mind, a perfect miniature landscape mirroring the broader, more chaotic world outside. She remembered the small, carefully placed rocks, the delicate miniature pines, and the calming murmur of the water feature, a tiny stream that trickled over smooth, moss-covered stones. Many Japanese gardens, she recalled, are designed with this very intention, to evoke a sense of peace and tranquility, to offer a sanctuary from the storms of life. The water, A constant element represented the flow of time, the ever-changing yet enduring nature of existence itself. Her grandmother's garden, a haven of serenity amidst the bustling city, was a powerful symbol of that enduring spirit, a testament to the human ability to find beauty and solace even in the smallest of spaces. Her thoughts drifted to the stories her grandmother used to tell, tales of brave samurai and cunning foxes, whispered in the shadows of the evening, stories steeped in history, in legend, in the very fabric of Japanese culture. These folk tales, filled with both heroism and tragedy, sparked her imagination as a child, transporting her to a bygone era of honor and chivalry, of epic battles and whispered secrets. But even as a child, she knew the line between history and myth was blurred, that the reality of the samurai era was likely far more complex than the narrative suggested. The historical accuracy of these stories is, even now, a subject of much debate among scholars. Were they embellished? Did they represent the true experiences of the people who lived through those times? Or were they perhaps more akin to morality plays designed to teach certain values and lessons to subsequent generations? These questions lingered, a gentle hum in the background of her thoughts. The true value of these samurai-era folktales lay not necessarily in their strict adherence to historical fact, but in their capacity to illuminate the hopes, fears, and aspirations of past societies. They offered a window into the human condition, timeless emotions and experiences reflected in the narratives of brave warriors, scheming villains, and ordinary people caught in extraordinary circumstances. Through these stories, Hana could glimpse the enduring spirit of her ancestors, their resilience in the face of hardship, their unwavering commitment to their beliefs, their capacity for both great kindness and terrible cruelty. These stories, even if not entirely accurate in their historical detail, spoke volumes about the enduring human spirit, the core values and struggles that transcend generations and cultures. They resonated with her own experiences, confirming that the human capacity for both profound love and devastating loss has remained constant through the ages. The whispers of the waves grew even fainter. The ambient sounds of the night deepened, a symphony of crickets and the gentle rustle of leaves in the distant trees. The fading light, the soft sounds of the night, the memories of her grandmother's garden, and the echoes of ancient tales all combined to create a sense of profound peace, a gentle lull that eased her into a restful sleep. Sleep came easily now, a peaceful surrender to the embrace of the night, a respite after a long and challenging day. It was a sleep filled with the quiet confidence of a spirit unbroken, a soul resilient, a heart ready to face whatever tomorrow might bring. The enduring spirit, she realized, was not merely a capacity for survival, but a profound acceptance of life's complexities, a quiet strength born of experiencing both joy and sorrow, loss and love. It was a journey, not a destination, a continuous unfolding, a constant becoming. And Hana, nestled amongst the stones, felt ready to continue hers. The swirling mist, thick and opaque moments before, begins to thin. It recedes slowly, reluctantly, like a shy curtain drawn back to reveal a breathtaking vista. The lake, previously obscured, emerges in all its serene glory. The water, a mirror reflecting the nascent dawn, is perfectly still, undisturbed save for the occasional ripple that whispers across its surface. The rising sun, a fiery orb barely peeking over the distant mountains, paints the sky in soft hues of pink and gold. A delicate blush creeps across the eastern horizon, gradually intensifying, chasing away the lingering shadows of night. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth. The towering pines surrounding the lake stand sentinel, their dark silhouettes stark against the brightening sky, their needles glistening with the morning dew. A profound sense of peace settles over you, a tranquility so complete it's almost palpable. It's a calm that washes over you, a warm blanket enveloping your senses, soothing any lingering anxieties or worries. The weight on your chest, the tension in your shoulders, melts away. The world seems to slow, to breathe deeply alongside you. The beauty of the scene is not just visual, it's felt, a profound resonance that vibrates through your very being. You are simply at peace. The gentle lapping of the water against the shore, the distant call of a bird. These sounds, once sharp and distinct, now fade into a soft, comforting hum. This is not the vibrant world of conflict and magic you've traversed. It's a sanctuary of quietude. It is a place where the heart finds rest, The melody, once so vibrant and evocative, gradually softens, its notes becoming increasingly ethereal. The instruments fade, one by one, their sounds dissolving into the tranquil silence that now dominates. The gentle percussion, the haunting flute, the deep resonance of the shamisen all retreat, leaving behind only a stillness so profound that it echoes within the quiet spaces of your soul. The wind whispers through the pines, a barely audible sigh, a final, tender farewell. Even the subtle sounds of nature, the chirping of birds, the rustling of leaves, gradually recede, melting into the pervasive quietude. This is not emptiness, but a profound fullness of peace, a blanket of silence designed to cradle you into a restful slumber. The silence is not an absence of sound, but rather a presence, a gentle invitation to surrender to the embrace of sleep. The world, for now, fades into a quiet, contemplative rest. The samurai period, spanning centuries of Japanese history, was a time of both brutal conflict and remarkable cultural flourishing. The unwavering loyalty, the meticulous code of Bushido, and the artistry of the katana, these elements continue to resonate profoundly within Japanese identity, shaping its culture and traditions even today. The legacies of these warrior artists, their stories of courage and sacrifice, still inspire awe and respect. The echoes of their battles, their triumphs, and their tragedies still linger, woven into the very fabric of the nation's narrative. The tales told across generations in ancient Japan are a tapestry woven from the threads of folklore, history, and mythology. Spirits danced alongside emperors, demons clashed with deities, and heroes emerged from the mists of legend. This intricate blend of the real and the supernatural, the tangible and the ethereal, created a unique worldview, rich in its complexities and nuances. The stories you've heard, the journey you've undertaken, are merely one interpretation of the abundant narratives that have shaped this captivating island nation. They are but fragments of a much larger, more intricate whole, a testament to the enduring power of myth and the indelible mark left by the human spirit on the landscape of time. The sun rises higher, casting a golden light across the tranquil lake. The air is still and calm, the silence unbroken. Let the peaceful image of this serene landscape settle into your mind, its gentle tranquility easing any tension, any worry. Let the soft light bathe you in its warmth, comforting and soothing. Breathe deeply, allowing the stillness to permeate your being. The world outside fades, replaced by the quiet embrace of slumber. Let the serenity of the lake, the stillness of the air, the gentle warmth of the rising sun guide you to a peaceful and restful sleep. Sleep well.